The experiment by which find, we can measure Young's modulus is a Koenig's method. Young's modulus by Koenig's method. In this experiment, we will find Young's modulus with the help of this arrangement. But question is that what is Young's modulus and why we have to find Young's modulus. So we will see what is Young's modulus. There is a question in our mind. Young's modulus is a ratio of stress and strain, where stress is ratio of force and area, while strain is ratio of change in dimensions per unit original dimensions, or specifically strain can be defined as change in length per unit original length. If Young's modulus of the material is higher, then what will happen? If Young's modulus of a material is lower, then what will happen? If Young's modulus of material is higher, it means it is good for consideration, or it means it is not good for consideration. These are the blanks yet to find. After the completion of this experiment, we will get answer automatically. Why we have to find Young's modulus? What is the necessity to find Young's modulus? By any means, at present we are finding Young's modulus with Koenig's method. So there is a breeze on which cow is walking, and due to the stress, bending action takes place into the breeze. Similarly, a heavy vehicle is traveling on breeze and there is no bending action in this breeze. There is a stress, there is a stress. There is a stress by cow and there is a stress by heavy vehicle. Now in this experiment, specifically we are using beam with the breadth B and depth D. So breadth B to be found using vernier caliper or screw gauge micrometer. Similarly, depth to be measured with a vernier caliper or screw gauge micrometer, and it is to be noted. Now in this experiment we will use meter scale and knife edges for resting that beam on these knife edges. There is an arrangement in which beam consists of two mirrors which are fitted, mirror 1 and mirror 2. Distance between two mirrors M1 and M2 is denoted with the letter small a, and this is a hook for attaching weights. See, there is a meter scale, mirror M1, mirror M2, this is a beam and this is the telescope. So whole of this apparatus is now ready to take readings. Now we will see distance between scale, meter scale and mirror M2, which is suppose capital D, and distance between edges is suppose small l. See, now there is no weight and initial reading is to be taken into consideration as a x0. So this ray is incident on mirror 2 and it is reflecting back to the mirror 1 and it is reflecting from mirror 1 to the telescope. So whatever the division is there on meter scale, that is x0, is observed with the help of telescope and it is to be noted in the tabular form. Initially no weight is there, then this reading is x0. Now if weight 1 is applied, then that ray 1 is shifted to ray 2 and the division is x1 on the meter scale. This mirror is shifting, it is bending slightly. This is the mirror M2 bending action. This is the bending action of the mirror M1. That mirror M2 is slightly bending, and due to that, that division is shifting from x0 to x1. That is shown with a ray 2 in this diagram. Now we applied second weight. Again, shifting is from x0 to x2. Ray 1 to ray 2, shifting is from x0 to x2 is shown in this diagram. Again, mirror is bending M2 in this manner, mirror M1 is bending in this manner, and this beam is bending at the center. And this bending action is nothing but the flexor, and it is to be noted x0 minus x2 or x2 minus x0, vice versa, whichever is bigger, from that we have to deduct it. Again, apply third weight, then from x0 to x3, ray 1 to ray 2. Again, bending action takes place into the mirror M2, as well as bending action taken place into the mirror M1, and bending action into the beam at the center is taking place. So whatever the weights are applied to this beam, then bending action takes place, and that bending action is being observed with the help of these mirrors and telescope and this meter scale arrangement as shown in this diagram. Now fourth weight is applied. Again, from x0 to x4, ray 1 to ray 2. Again, bending action into the mirror M2 as well as bending action into the mirror M1 takes place. Again, beam is bending at the center due to application of these weights, and this is being observed with the help of telescope placed here at the right hand side of this apparatus. Now we apply fifth weight. Again, x0 to x5, that ray 2 is going to mirror M2, incident on mirror M2, and that is reflected back to the mirror M1, and from mirror M1 to telescope, and this is happening due to bending action of the mirror M2 as well as mirror M1. Again, there is a bending action at the center of this beam 2 due to application of these weights which we have applied here. Now, whatever the data we have collected, we have observed to be written in a tabular form. Earlier, we have seen distance between two knife edges is equal to small l centimeter. Distance between the scale and opposite mirror M2 is capital D centimeter. Distance between the two mirrors M1 and M2 is equal to small a centimeter. Depth, that is a D centimeter, and breadth dash dash centimeter, that is B centimeter. Mass applied to the beam at the center is from 0 gram, 100 gram, 200 gram, 300 gram, 400 gram, 500 gram, in this manner. At the time of zero weight, means there is no weight applied to the beam at the center, then reading will be x0, that is the initial reading. After the application of 100 gram, then reading will be the x1, and shift in scale reading, that is x centimeter, is x1 minus x0. 200 gram weight is applied, take the reading. 300 gram, take the reading. 400 gram, take the reading, and 500 gram, take the reading. This part is a loading part, means we are adding weights one by one. Now remove the weights one by one. Now take the reading, then remove 500. Now remove 400. Now remove 300 gram. Now remove 200 gram. Now remove 100 gram. And now there is a at the time of 0. So almost there is no difference in between these two readings, loading and unloading. That we have to take all the readings. An angle of flexure to be calculated using formula phi is equal to x divided by 2 into bracket 2 into capital D plus 2 small a. This is the formula, radians. Now this is the mass along y-axis and flexure phi along x-axis. So find slope m divided by phi. So capital Y, that is Young's modulus, is equal to 3WL square divided by 4 pi BD cube is equal to 3 by 4 GL square divided by BD cube into capital M divided by phi, which is equal to 3 GL square divided by 4 BD cube into slope dash dash dying per centimeter square. Young's modulus of the material of the beam, that is capital Y, is equal to dyne per centimeter square. So this is about the calculation or determination of Young's modulus by Koenig's method. Now from this, our answer is that if Young's modulus of a material is higher, it means it is good for consideration, and it is less, it means it is not good for consideration. So always Young's modulus of the material to be higher and higher. Young's modulus is nothing but the measure of stiffness of material, measure of strength of the material, how that material is strong, up to what extent that material having stiffness, how stiffer is it, that is to be measured, that is to be found, and with the help of various methods of them, one is Koenig's method that we have deployed in the present experiment. So that is about the Young's modulus by Koenig's method to find Young's modulus of material which is given in the form of beam air. Now we will see in this experiment thermal conductivity of a bare conductor by Lee's method. This experiment consists of one steam generator, and that steam generator supplies steam to these upper hollow discs. There is one slice of a bare conductor and there is one lower disc. So upper hollow disc, slice of bare conductor and lower disc. There is one hole in which we have to insert thermometer T1, and there is another hole in which we have to insert thermometer T2 in the lower disc. So this is about the apparatus which we will use for finding thermal conductivity of bare conductor, and this is device. This experiment was conducted by scientist Lees, and that is why it is called Lee's method. So in this experiment, this upper disc, which is a hollow, and steam inlet hole is there and steam outlet hole is there, heat is passing through this bare conductor to lower disc of a mass m. Already we have kept two holes, hole 1 for upper hollow disc and hole 2nd for the lower disc. Now in this experiment, we have made such a type of arrangement. So upper hollow disc, lower disc, in between sample is kept like this. Thermometer T1 is inserted into the hole of the upper hollow disc and thermometer T2 is inserted into the lower disc. Whole of this arrangement is shown in this figure. Continuously from upper hollow disc, heat is passing through this bare conductor to this lower disc. By that, both the thermometer shows steady temperature. There is a temperature difference. Naturally, thermometer T1 shows more temperature than the thermometer T2 due to sample or due to bad conductor in between two Ds. Provide heat energy unless both the thermometer attain steady temperature. Here, supply heat unless both the discs attain steady temperature and thermometer T1 shows temperature theta 1 and thermometer T2 shows temperature theta 2. Theta 1 degree centigrade and theta 2 degree centigrade. Now, both the thermometers, both the Ds attain steady temperature. Then remove bad conductor and thermometer from the upper hollow disc. Both the Ds are now in contact with each other. Provide the temperature, provide the heat through this upper hollow disc unless lower disc attained by 10 degrees centigrade more. And it is to be noted with the help of thermometer T2 as this is shown in the figure. So, supply heat to lower disc through its upper surface till it attains temperature of 10 degrees centigrade more. Now, remove this upper hollow disc. Again, kept that bad conductor, slice of bad conductor on the upper surface of the lower disc and take the readings through this thermometer T2 in the interval of 30 seconds or 0.5 minute unless lower disc attains steady temperature or unless it is attending to room temperature. Till then, take the readings. So these readings to be noted in tabular form like this. For certain time, for 0 minute, for 0 minute or 0 second, temperature is to be noted like this. After 0.5 minute, after 1 minute, after 1.5, 2 minute, like this, temperature to be noted continuously. Slice of bad conductor which having diameter d, thickness x, to be measured with the help of vernier caliper and to be measured with the help of screw gauge micrometer. Thickness to be measured with the help of screw gauge micrometer and diameter of the slice of a bad conductor to be measured with the help of vernier caliper. Now this is the individual diagram for the sake of clarity. This is upper hollow disc, heat is being supplied to this lower disc through this bad conductor or slice of bad conductor. There is a thermometer T1 and thermometer T2. Both the thermometer attains steady temperature. Then remove the slice of a bad conductor. Also remove the thermometer T1 from upper hollow disc and put slice of bad conductor on the upper surface of the lower disc and take the readings with the help of thermometer T2 in the interval of 30 seconds or 0.5 minute unless lower disc attains steady state temperature. Further, in the tabular form, write the readings till lower disc attains constant temperature and plot a graph which is nothing but the cooling curve, which is against theta versus time. Steady state temperature at thermometer T1 of upper disc is theta 1 degree centigrade and steady state temperature at thermometer T2 of lower disc is equal to theta 2 degree centigrade. Mass of lower disc capital M in grams. Thickness of sample x in centimeter. Diameter of sample capital D in centimeter. Thermal conductivity of material of bad conductor, that is capital K, and specific heat of a material of lower D, which is equal to small s, is equal to calorie/gram degree centigrade. So capital K, that is thermal conductivity of a bad conductor, is given as 4 m, that is mass of the lower disc, s, that is specific heat of the lower disc, x, that is thickness of the slice of bad conductor, pi, and d is the diameter of the slice of a sample or bad conductor, pi d square, into bracket theta 1 minus theta 2, where theta 1 is the temperature of the upper hollow disc, that is the steady temperature, and theta 2 is the steady state temperature at thermometer T2 of lower disc, and this is the slope taken from this cooling curve d theta by dt at theta 2, and which is equal to calorie per second gram degree centigrade. So this is about the experiment thermal conductivity of a bad conductor by Lee's method. So we can find thermal conductivity K using this formula. Searle's device method for determining Young's modulus, modulus of rigidity, Poisson's ratio. It is divided in two parts, two methods, flexural method as well as torsional oscillations method. First of all, for determining Young's modulus, we will see flexural method. So there are two bars, bar 1 and bar 2. They are attached with a wire which is made up of a material which we have to find, we have to determine Young's modulus. This method, this arrangement is called flexural oscillations method. This metal wire is attached, connected with these bars, bar 1 and bar 2 in this manner, and bar 1 is hang with a thread to the fixed support. Bar 2 is also hanged to the fixed support with a thread like this. Both the bars are free to oscillate in free atmosphere. Now, one of the ends of the bar 1 and one of the ends of the bar 2 are tied with a thread in this manner. Now there is a potential energy. When this thread is taken off or this thread is cut, or when this thread is burnt, by any means this thread is removed, then both the ends now free to oscillate, free to move horizontally, because there is a potential energy that is now releasing after releasing both the ends, and it is converting into the kinetic energy, and that is why oscillations created into the bars, and that number of oscillations to be measured, to be counted, what time is taken for 20 oscillations, that is to be noted. Now the parameters, the average breadth, capital B, is to be noted, which is capital B1, it is the breadth of bar 1, capital B2, it is the breadth of the bar 2 divided by 2 in centimeters. Now average mass of each bar, M1, M2, and it is given average mass of both the bars considering combining them. Capital M is equal to capital M1 plus capital M2 divided by 2 in gram. Average length of bars, that is capital L, is equal to capital L1 that is the length of bar 1, length of bar 2 divided by 2 in centimeter. Average moment of inertia capital I is equal to capital M into bracket capital L square capital B plus capital B square divided by 12 gram centimeter square. Now find the time for 20 oscillations of the bar and calculate time period T1, that is capital T suffix 1 is equal to small t, that is the time taken for performing 20 oscillations. Now Young's modulus capital Y is equal to 8 pi small l into capital I, that is moment of inertia, divided by small r raised to 4, where small r is radius of the wire, this wire which is connected in between two bars, r raised to 4 into t1 square, that dynes per centimeter square. So this is, earlier we have seen how both the bars are tied in this manner and they are free to oscillate in atmosphere after cutting, after removing that thread with which they are tied. Now animation for flexural oscillation shown at last. For both the methods, flexural as well as torsional oscillations method. Now we will see torsional oscillations method for finding modulus of rigidity of the material of the wire. In this case, one of the bars, bar 2, is free to oscillate while another bar is attached or tied with the threads to the fixed support in this manner, and this is the wire of the material of which we have to find modulus of rigidity. So radius of wire small r to be measured. So this whole method for finding, for determining modulus of rigidity is called torsional oscillations method. It is devised by scientist Searles, and that is why it is called Searles method. Once again, average breadth for bar 2 to be calculated, to be found, to be measured with the help of vernier caliper. Average mass of the bar 2, that is capital M suffix 2, to be measured with the help of weighing balance in grams. Average length of the bars to be measured with the help of meter scale, which is a capital L2 in centimeter. And moment of inertia of second bar is given as I2 is equal to capital M2 into bracket capital L2 square plus capital B2 square divided by 12 in gram centimeter square. Again find the time T2 for 20 oscillations of the bar and calculate time period capital T2, which is equal to small t2 divided by 20. That is time taken for performing 20 oscillations. How much time is being taken for performing 20 oscillations? And that is time period. Further, find or calculate the rigidity modulus or modulus of rigidity of the material of the wire using formula eta is equal to 8 pi small l, where small is L is length of the wire divided by r raised to 4 into T2 square dynes per centimeter square. So that is the formula to be taken into consideration for finding modulus of rigidity, which is eta is equal to 8 pi L I2 divided by small r raised to 4 d2 square 9 per centimeter square. So this is the method how they oscillate. Further, it is shown in detail how torsional oscillations perform in animations. So after calculating the Young's modulus and the rigidity modulus of the material of the wire, now using the formula sigma is equal to capital Y divided by twice eta minus 1, we can find Poisson's ratio. So from two methods, third ratio or third elastic constant, that is Poisson's ratio, to be calculated. That is sigma, which is equal to capital Y, that is Young's modulus, divided by twice eta, that is 2 times modulus of rigidity minus 1. So this is all about Searle's method. It is divided in two parts or two methods, that is torsional oscillations method, and earlier we have seen that is flexural oscillations method. For finding flexural oscillations method is for finding Young's modulus, and torsional oscillations method is for finding modulus of rigidity. So after finding Young's modulus and modulus of rigidity, we can calculate Poisson's ratio, that is sigma. So all about Searle's method, and animations is given, animation shown for flexural as well as torsional oscillation. Flat spiral spring method is used for determining Young's modulus, modulus of rigidity, and Poisson's ratio. It is divided in two parts: oscillations in vertical directions, as it is shown in the figure. Upper end of the spring is clamped while lower end is free, and small m dash is the effective mass of the spring, which is shown in the diagram. Capital M is a mass loaded to spring for the oscillations purpose. Capital M plus small m dash is the total mass oscillating to the spring. Capital N, that is the number of turns of the spring, which is given here, and capital T suffix 1 is a time period, and it is given how much time taken for 50 oscillations, and that is given in a second. Capital D1, that is the outer diameter of the spring, capital D2, that is the inner diameter of the spring, and mean diameter of the spring, that is capital D, is equal to D1 plus D2 divided by 2. Now find the radius of the spring, which is equal to capital R is equal to capital D divided by 2 in centimeter. and find radius of the wire of the spring, which is equal to small r in centimeter. T1 is the time period of oscillations and eta is modulus of rigidity, which is given 16 pi square capital N into bracket capital M plus small m dash bracket complete into capital R raised to 3 divided by small r raised to 4 into capital T 1 square. It is shown in the observations table for oscillations in vertical directions. Mass in gram, number of observations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 gram, 200 gram, 300 gram, 400 gram, 500 gram, like this. If we are taking 100 gram into consideration, give the oscillations vertically. For 50 oscillations, what time is taken? 3 times take the reading and take the mean, that is small t. From that, find the period capital T suffix 1 is equal to small t divided by 50 seconds, and at last t1 square second square to be written in tabular form. So this is about the observations for oscillations in vertical directions. Now plot the graph. On y-axis there is a mass and on x-axis there is a t1 square. Slope is equal to dash dash gram per centimeter square, and intercept on y-axis is equal to small m dash is equal to dash dash gram. Capital M plus m dash is equal to eta small r raised to 4 divided by 16 pi square capital N capital R Q into T1 square. So therefore from above, capital M is equal to N R raised to 4 divided by 16 pi square capital N R Q into T1 square minus m dash. This is like a equation for straight line. Y is equal to mx plus c. From that, slope of the straight line is equal to m, and which is small m is equal to nr raised to 4 divided by 16 pi square capital N capital R Q. So therefore, modulus of rigidity eta is equal to 16 pi square capital N capital R Q divided by R raised to 4 into slope is equal to dash dash dynes per centimeter square. Now, how flat spiral spring oscillate in vertical manner, like this. It is just shown how it is oscillating in a vertical manner. It will be shown in the animation clip for oscillation in vertical direction at last. Now we will see about the oscillations in horizontal planes. It is observed from the diagram, there is one end of the spring as usual is fixed, while another end is attached with the bar having length capital L, and that is divided in x and x. Equidistant it is divided. Mass of each disc is m dash, and mass of bar is given capital M double dash, and length of bar is given there, and time period T2 is given small t divided by 50 seconds. As usual, upper end of the spring is clamped while other, that is the lower end, is free. M dash mass of each disc, M double dash mass of bar, capital L length of bar. This is shown in the diagram. This M dash, this M dash, this distance from center x, this distance from center to this disc, and whole of this bar capital L is given here, and m double dash is a mass of this bar which is given here. See how that system oscillates horizontally. It is shown with the arrows in the diagram, and how distance changes like this, and take the oscillations after changing the distance from central point of the bar. Now take the observations in tabular form. Distance of each disk from axis x centimeter and moment of inertia of the system I gram centimeter square. Note the time for 50 oscillations. T1, T2 second, T3 second, and take the mean, that is small t second, and find the time period. Capital T1 is equal to small t divided by 50 seconds, and find, that is the Young's modulus, capital Y, dynes per centimeter square. Moment of inertia of each of these is equal to m dash x square. Moment of inertia of a bar is equal to m double dash into bracket capital L square divided by 12 plus small r dash square divided by 4, where small r dash is a radius of bar and it is very small as compared to capital L, that is the length of the bar. Hence r dash square, that is a small r dash square, is to be neglected. So therefore capital I is equal to twice capital M dash x square plus capital M double dash square divided by 12 is equal to dash dash gram centimeter square, and Young's modulus capital Y is equal to 32 pi square NIR divided by R small raised to 4 capital T2 square is equal to dynes per centimeter square. And from modulus of rigidity and Young's modulus, we can get Poisson's ratio, that is sigma is equal to capital Y divided by twice eta minus 1. So this is about flat spiral spring experiment for determining Young's modulus, modulus of rigidity, and Poisson's ratio. Animation clip for oscillations in vertical and horizontal direction shown further. For passing wanted signal and to block unwanted signal. So there are basically three types of filters. First of all, we will see high pass filter. High pass filter allows to pass high frequency while blocks low frequency, and that is why it is called high pass filter. Another type of filter is a low pass filter. and combination of both high pass filter as well as low pass filter, we will get band pass filter. But initially we will see about the high pass filter only. As far as designing part is concerned, then what type of components to be taken is depending on the formula, which is Fc is equal to 1 upon 2 pi Rc, that is the cutoff frequency. Fc is equal to cutoff frequency, which is Fc, and R is the value of resistor which is to be used in the circuit which we will make in case of high pass filter. C is the value of capacitor. So CR formula for the cutoff frequency Fc is equal to 1 by 2 pi Rc Hertz. Or if we want to find resistor, if cutoff frequency is known, value of capacitor is known, then value of resistor can be calculated, and which is R is equal to 1 upon 2 pi Fc into capital C omega or ohm. Or capacitor C is equal to 1 upon 2 pi cutoff frequency into value of resistance R, and unit is farad. So this is about the designing part. What amount of resistor, what amount of capacitor, what value of resistor, what value of capacitor to be taken into consideration for finding cutoff frequency, that we have taken here. So high pass filter plus low pass filter is equal to band pass filter. But initially we will see about the high pass filter only. So this is the circuit. This capacitor is connected in parallel with the resistor in this manner. So this capacitor and this part is a high pass filter. So this part is a frequency generator and another part is a measuring part, that is a voltmeter. So frequency through this frequency generator is being supplied to this high pass filter section. Then what amount of voltage is coming at the output, and that is to be measured with the help of voltmeter. Initially set voltage here, which may be 5 volt minimum and 12 volt maximum, but keep it 5 volt. Then change the frequency from 100 Hz, 200 Hz, 300 Hz, like this, from lower frequency to higher frequency. Initially, since this is a high pass filter, in case of low frequency, there will be no output or low output at voltmeter shown here in the diagram. So whatever the frequency, we are providing this from frequency generator, and corresponding voltage to be measured with this voltmeter. Whatever the voltage we are getting, and write it in the tabular form. Whatever the frequency corresponding to that, what is the voltage that is to be written into the table in tabular form. See here, if we are providing 100 Hz, the voltage is 0.301. If we are providing 200 Hz, then voltage is 0.302 volt. If we are providing 300 Hz, then voltage is 0.303, and so on. If we are providing frequency 400 Hz, then it is 0.303. For 500 Hz, it is 0.800. For 600, 1.100. For 700, it is 1.5. So this is all about the frequency versus voltage. See here, at the 800 frequency Hertz, voltage is 2.03. At 900 Hz, voltage is 2.50 volt. Voltage is at a y-axis and frequency at a x-axis. So voltage versus frequency graph is plotted. Now frequency is 1000 Hz and voltage 3.10. For 1100 Hz 3.90. And further, for 1200 Hz voltage 4 volt. For 1300 Hz voltage is 4.10. For 1400 Hz voltage is 4.12. And for 1500 Hz voltage is 4.1. So this is about the high pass filter, and this is a graph plotted. On y-axis there is a voltage and on x-axis there is a frequency. How low frequency in this region? That low frequency is blocked while high frequency is being passed, and that is why it is called high pass filter, because only high frequencies are passing and low frequencies are getting blocked. So this is the graph of a high pass filter. Low frequency blocks here, low frequency block and high frequency pass. So this is about the graph or graphical representation of a high pass filter, which is plotted voltage on y-axis and frequency on x-axis. Now we will say about low pass filter. So you can see resistor is connected here and capacitor is connected here. So resistor is connected in parallel to the capacitor. So this part or this section is low pass filter section or region. As usual, we are providing frequency with the help of frequency generator. So this section is a frequency generator section. Now whatever the frequency we are providing to this circuit, then whatever the voltage we are getting to be measured with the help of voltmeter connected here. That output will be measured with the help of this voltmeter. And further, what are the values coming from the voltmeter? CR for 100 Hz 4.85, for 200 Hz it is 4.90, for 300 Hz it is 4.89 volt. Again for 400 Hz it is 4.85, 500 Hz 4.90 and 600 it is 4.89. Further, for 700 4.70, for 800 it is 4.65, for 900 it is 4.55 volt, for 1000 Hz it is 2.80, for 1100 Hz 2.75, and for 1200 Hz it is 2.65. Continuously voltage is decreasing. So there is a drop in its voltage as frequency is increasing. Further you can see for 1300 Hz it is 1.80, for 1400 Hz it is 1.05, for 1500 Hz it is 1 volt. Continuously. As frequency is increasing, voltage is decreasing. See, for 1600 Hz it is 0.90, for 1700 Hz it is 0.85, for 1800 Hz value is 0.84 volt. You can observe from the graph. Low frequency is being passed and high frequency is blocked. You can observe in this graph. Voltage versus frequency graph is plotted. Low frequency is passed while high frequency is blocked, and that is why it is called low pass filter. A filter which filters, a filter which will not allow high frequency are called low pass filter, which will allow only low frequencies and we will get output. Now combination of both, that is band pass filter. There are two filters, high pass filter as well as low pass filter connected in this manner. This filter is connected with this filter and finally as usual we are getting voltage from this voltmeter. Now this is a high pass filter and there is a low pass filter. So high pass filter plus low pass filter which is equal to band pass filter. Now this band pass filter circuit is ready. We have to provide frequency from this frequency generated to this band pass circuit. Whole of this is a band pass circuit. Now we apply one by one from low to high from this frequency generator and measure the voltage with the help of this voltmeter. So we will get this result of the band pass filter on the voltmeter connected here. So whatever the corresponding frequency applied or frequency provided, correspondingly voltage will be measured, noted with this voltmeter. So graph of a band pass filter is like this. So low frequency will not pass, high frequency will not pass, only this band will pass. And that's why this is called band pass filter. So this is all about the high pass filter, low pass filter and finally band pass filter. So basic is that to block unwanted signal and to pass wanted signal, and that is why it is called filter. So there are types as per the requirements which filter we require, whether high pass filter, low pass filter or band pass filter. So this is all about the filters which we have seen.